Friday morning. This is day 3 of 22 Days of Connection. And today I want to talk about the different experiences that I had. I need to work on this verbal tick. I can tell when I'm nervous because I use it. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was PTSD, but not really the PT so much, because a lot of focus gets placed on that PT and it's on, the trauma, and that's my dog's playing in the background. It's on the trauma and, was it a lot of trauma, or was it a little trauma, or don't you think you're overreacting or anything like that? Now, I'm not saying that I have PTSD. I know, though, that I have a bit of a stress disorder because I know that my reaction when I get overwhelmed is not normal. I have my hands get freezing cold and it seems to crawl to the center of my being. I start shaking. At the time I would chain smoke. I would go outside and chain smoke. I would get insomnia. So I had a lot of, and that's a stress disorder. I have stress. I am not reacting to it well. I have a disorder. So I did some, I've got some things that worked for me, and we'll talk about that. That's one thing that I've worked on over the years. The next is what I kind of call walking around depression. And that's functional depression for me, which is, I'm still working. I'm still, socializing to a certain degree. I tend to isolate some when I'm in this stage. I'm irritable. I don't have a lot of reserve. So, something that normally would be no big deal, I might make, it might be like a 2 on the scale. Like when I'm got a little walking around depression going on, all of a sudden that becomes like an 8 or a 9. So that's a tell for me. If what I'm doing is reacting out of scale with what actually is happening, I need to kind of check in and say, hey, what's going on here? I kind of describe it like it's like I have an M&M. It's like I'm an M&M. And so I have this little shell, and I can successfully navigate around, provided nobody touches it too hard. If they touch that shell too hard, it's going to crack, and then all my gooey chocolate is going to come out. Ooh, chocolate. Anyway, but then, then there's the full scale clinical depression, which, sucks. I mean, none of it's great, okay, mind you, but the full Monty for me was emotional overload. It was like I was circling a drain, and I could see that I was getting worse, and I was isolating more, and I wasn't able to separate feelings, and they were all just kind of layering together. So you'd have frustration and resentment and grief and loss of hope and despair and sadness and anger, because it's in there too. All of those things started layering up on each other, and I got completely overwhelmed. And I just, the body's amazing. It really does try to protect us, and everything just shut down for me. So I was 22 and active duty at Dam Neck in Virginia Beach at the time. And this is actually a fortunate thing. I had to show up for muster every day, or they would have thrown me in the brig or put me on restriction to base, or I would have faced punitive consequences. I think if I had been a civilian and I had the option to just check out and stay in my bed and not interact with anybody, I would have chosen that. I would have totally opted for that. But I did have to show up, and it was really, really difficult. I remember saying that it felt like I had to get up in the mornings and assemble this mask of what I thought I was supposed to look like, and just hope. I was scared to go to the grocery store or to go to the drugstore, because when I was going through line, they might ask me, how are you? And that would be enough for me to lose it. So I remember people also asking me what's wrong, which was the worst question in the world to ask because I had no idea. I had no idea what was wrong. And people would, I wasn't making even eye contact at that point. And I would sit in the classroom and I would stare at the wall and I would cry and just, and not like, but like just the quiet tears that just go down. And people would try and ask me what was wrong. And their intentions were very good, but I did not know what was wrong. And that question was even more upsetting to me. So that's my 5 minutes. And I just wanted to share that. The worst part of all of it is I felt alone. I felt like nobody else understood those feelings. And I felt like nobody could possibly understand those feelings. So I share this because for some of you, you may relate to some of it. And if that's the case, that's connection, which is the intention of this whole thing. And I went a minute over. I very much appreciate your time. If you like the hat, it's Peacemaker Trading Company. I'll put the website in the comments because I like to support veteran-owned businesses. And I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions for me, please put those in the comments also. Thank you and have a great Friday.